Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of They Say. My name is Allison McFarland, founder and CEO of Allison McFarland Inc., your personal branding expert. That is my space. That is the space I love, and I am just happy to be here. But this Wednesday is not your typical Wednesday. I have this legend on here, Mr. Jerry
Oh,
himself. I have had the pleasure of watching Jerry just do amazing things in the community, and I was so honored when he told me he wanted to come and speak on leadership. I'm all about servitude, and this gentleman embodies it. He doesn't just talk it; he embodies it. So, Jerry, welcome to They Say.
what a pedestal. Have to be careful not to fall off.
Hey, I tell no lies. I tell no lies. That's what I tell everyone. I tell no lies.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be a guest on such an amazing platform. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, Jerry, thank you for saying yes. I'm honored you said yes. You're out here shaking and changing the world and doing better things than most. So I'm excited when anybody of greatness says yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So where do we I just want to hear your story because your story is not you're not from Houston. So I think that's a great
I'm not from Houston. My,
yeah.
my, my wife reminds me of that every single time she gets into traffic.
Yeah.
You're not from here. All of y'all have come and just tore up our city. I am originally from Alexandria, Louisiana. The oasis in the sticks, I guess you can say. It's in the middle of the state, and I lived there up until probably till it was time to go to college.
Okay.
Ended up starting at LSUA, but found my way to Southern University in Baton Rouge. Go Jags!
Yes.
And during my time at Southern University, I ended up majoring in political science and minoring in history of some sort. I took plenty of history classes and way more political science classes than most people would think that I needed to. I've always been involved in politics when I was on campus, worked down at the state capitol annex. Did not know it, but in a very weird way, kind of stumbled onto economic development.
Okay.
And I'll be very quick about how I stumbled onto economic development.
We love a good story.
I had just made it up in my mind that I was going to get a job at the state capitol. You couldn't tell me it wasn't going to happen. I was going to get a job at the state capitol. And so I printed out, had to been almost 100 resumes. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It was a lot of resumes, right? Mm-hmm. And so at that time period, my resume could all fit on one piece of paper. So it was easy to print them out, right? And I started going to every office at the annex. And when I got there, it seemed like every single person that would review me would ask me, "Who do you know?" Mm-hmm. And I was committed to getting the job without name dropping, without sharing any names whatsoever. And it just, every single time I would go up and share my resume, the number one question was, well, who referred you? Who do you know? What contact or what information or what state rep or what senator, is suggesting or recommending you? And I just refused to give any names. I wanted it on my own accord. And I walked out of the building without a job. And I threw all of the rest of my resumes into the trash. I'll never forget this. There was a lady that was outside smoking, and she heard me say these words: "You got to know somebody to get a job around here." I mean, this is crazy. No one even bothered to really read my resume. They just wanted to know who I knew. And the lady looks back at me, and I wish I could remember her name, but I do not. the lady looks back at me after she finished smoking her cigarette. She looked at me and said, son, do you know Jesus? And I said, yes, ma'am, I do. And she said, that's enough for me. Pick out one of those. And she kind of did a finger like that. Pick out one of those resumes out the trash and come with me.
Okay, come on.
And she took one of the resumes and she went into the hallway and picked this. It was a hallway that I did not go to. It was a hallway that I didn't go to. And she led me to a hallway that I did not go to. And she stood in the middle of the hallway and she said, I have this young man. He's looking for an internship. Which one of y'all? I know y'all need somebody. Who is it? Who's going to be? And a gentleman walked out the doorway and he said, well, I'm looking for an intern to work on computers. Right. We go, we've had our conversations about me and computers, right? And the other lady was like, well, I'm looking for someone to do like just work around, just small ends and odds. She said, but I only can pay you $5.15 an hour. And the gentleman named Jack said, well, I can pay you $10 an hour. And I looked over at the lady and I said, I'm coming back because I'm not sure if I'm going to even like what this $10 an hour is paying, but I want to go there first, obviously, right? And so I went over there, sat down and met with Jack, and enjoyed the opportunity to kind of have some patience with me and allow me to stretch myself a little bit on the computer setup. And from there, I went over to her and I said, look, when I'm free and I'm not really working for Jack, I'll come over and help you as well. And so I ended up kind of going back and forth between the two. And the job was to set up computers at the Office of Louisiana Economic Development.
Love it.
And so that's where it all kind of started.
So I really think that also speaks to your servitude. That's why I had to title this episode Servant Leadership, because I really I know I see it. You embody that. And the fact that you're willing to go in between two roles and just hit the pavement until you got what you wanted, but you served your way to get there. So really speak to how servitude has really opened doors for you.
I think it goes back to being raised in my grandmother's household. She was a maid. Yeah. She was a maid. She worked for the same family for like 54 years. And so I was able to kind of see her being a deaconess in the church, us going to church all the time. I mean, we might as well have pull up a pallet or something because we stayed there. So to be in that space, to see her serve, before the church even had a van, we were dropping people off and picking them up to come to church. And I used to complain. I'm going to be very honest on here.
Please do.
Very honest, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to get home and watch my TV shows and be a kid. And so I would be like, Granny, why do we always have to drop and pick people up to go to church?
Yeah.
And she said something to me that, all these years later, I'm 40, and it has held true ever since. She said, I'm dropping and picking these people up to go to church so that you'll never be without a car. You'll never have to worry about transportation. You'll always have provision in that area. And I sat back and I didn't say anything to her when she said that. I didn't say anything else. It has not been a day on this earth that I have lived, no matter what situation I may be in, that I have not had some type of provision for transportation. And it's not because of Jerry.
Right.
I promise you, it's not because of Jerry. It is truly because my grandmother sowed that seed before I was even old enough. We're talking about when I was like 6, 7, and 8. She was doing this. And so she showed me at an early age. We used to take clothing to to friends and neighbors that she knew that was passing out clothing to kids who needed them. We would tote the bags up these steps to this evangelist house and drop off clothes to her. So serving others, that has been sold into me. I mean, oh goodness, since I was a little kid. So it was more of a trained thing than it was anything else. It just came natural to see my grandmother kind of do that.
I love it. I love it. So with it coming naturally, since you thought, so funny thing is, you, like you said, you thought you were going to be a politician, like you thought you were going to go in that political space, and you have went in. I would say you went in a a different lane. So how has that really translated for you in your leadership skills? Because you have really had some great teachers and some great environments to really help you cultivate who you are as a leader.
You know, if you would have asked me in college what I was going to do, it was going to definitely be an elected official. Like I just knew it. And then having a taste of politics, serving as a city councilman in Alexandria, you get an understanding that you can be more effective as a non-elected official than you can be as an elected official. Me serving in economic development now, it does require it requires some politics. It just does, right? The nimbleness of understanding what an elected official has to deal with or what they're exposed to, and being able to navigate those areas for them sometimes and with them is important. I think elected officials that I've worked with, for them to know that I see what they're challenged with, and I fully understand what they're challenged with, and wanting to help them kind of get through those nuances and to achieve the goals and the growth of a community, I think is extremely beneficial to both me and the politician. But more importantly, it's also more critically important to the actual citizen who's benefiting from having those services provided on their behalf. So it's a lot of thought that goes into these decisions. I'm always thinking about how this is going to look on behalf of the elected official, what this will mean for the citizen that these opportunities are being provided for, and what will the legacy be? What will occur when Jerry is gone? You know, the average economic developer, if you look it up, they tend to only last about 2.5 years. So if I come back to that community 5 years from now, can I see that the work that was in place that I left there, was it better? Was the decisions that were made, were they impactful? Did they leave a place better than the way I found it, so to speak? And that is one of my common goals. Anywhere I go, I want to leave it better than the way I found it. And so I think that's another reason why I don't leave situations or places until I know for a fact this place is about as good as it's going to get underneath my leadership, and it's going to take someone else to come behind and to work and do that next part. And it's biblical almost, in a sense, when you think about it. You have to know how long to stay, and then you have to know when to leave. And then sometimes you're not going to be that person that leads them into a new space. You may be Moses. Moses had
Moses, let's go.
Moses had a stopping point. He could only get so far in the journey. he was more so the leader throughout the journey, but not the destination.
So, Jerry, I have a question then, because you don't took us in a different direction. Right? No, I want to ask you a question because something that I am seeing is I feel like a lot of our Moseses are not preparing Aaron, and they're kind of holding on to the ram. They're not preparing Aaron, and we missing out.
Oh, you starting something else.
I'm starting something. Let me tread lightly but honestly, because I was having a conversation today, and somebody asked me, Allison, who's the next? What happened to Barack Obama after he got out of office? What happened to Bill Clinton? What happened to Ronald Reagan? Like, just what happened to these? How did these people get a successor? And did they name that person? Because I feel like where we're at in the leadership in the world today, Moses is not preparing Aaron. And Moses is holding on too long. So Aaron is not getting Moses's information.
So this is where I say that the views that I am getting ready to express are the reflections of only Jerry. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Over the last 15 years that and look, I've studied leadership.
Yes.
I think that it's something that I have studied honestly my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, I've looked and reviewed and studied the people who are around me that hold the title of leadership, right? That hold different titles that are supposed to be leading us somewhere, right?
Yes.
What I have noticed is if we're going to segment this a bit and talk about urban communities, communities of Black and brown people that I have either grew up in or I've worked in or I've just reviewed. It's very textbook. We have people who have served in leadership roles, and I'm going to get a little comfortable when I say this, since Christ rose. Right? They've been around for quite a while. Okay. Yeah. It's one of those folks where you look in the information guide on positions, and you see their name under every single Senate class, every single state rep. You see them under every council picture. In fact, at some point, you probably should just stop taking pictures of the council seats because it's the same people, right? And what happens over a time period is I do everything in my power to help people have opportunities to everything but my position. My position belongs to me. I have zero desire to see anyone come take over my position. So I will help you navigate and go in every other situation, every other space and place, as long as it does not appear that you want to take my position, because I plan on being here until God calls me home. And when he does call me home, it's no longer my problem who fills that gap or that space. Where that institutional knowledge goes, that's not my problem. I'm gone. And what I expect for you to do when I go is to have an honoring ceremony. I want you to have the flags kind of dampered across by the fire trucks, the ladders. I want you to do the parades. I want you to do everything for me because this position belonged to me. And what I will tell you, and it's not just lip service. There's not one position that I've held that belongs to me. Those seats don't belong to me. Yeah. A mentor of mine by the name of Joseph P. Page, I'm gonna call his name. He always told me, do not bring things, personal items that cannot fit in no more than 2 boxes. That office does not belong to you.
I love it.
That was he was so serious about that. Anytime you get more than 2 personal boxes, 2 personal of personal items, you've gotten too comfortable. Yeah. The seat does not belong to you, it belongs to the people. It belongs to the folks that you serve. And what we've done is we have sat back and we have become so conditioned to see people serving in positions that our brains don't even tell us that we can challenge them in that seat because they've always been there. Yeah. And I'll say this and I'll be quiet, Allison. When I was a little kid at Pineville Elementary, the question that was asked was, what do you want to be when you grow up? Mm-hmm. And I, as a kid, said that I wanted to be governor of the great state of Louisiana. That was what I said, literally. Okay. And the funny part about this was the teacher asked me, she said, governor, you don't want to be at least mayor of Alexandria? And I said, well, I can't be mayor because that belongs to, at that time, the mayor that we had at the time. My brain told me then that if a person has been in a seat for so long, that seat belongs to them. And as I got older, I started saying, whoa, wait a minute. These seats don't belong to them. These seats belong to the people. Now, we have to do a better job as young people of getting into the process. Now, this is where I'm about to turn it on us a little bit now.
Turn it on us.
We have to get into a position to where we're not saying that just because we are the new young guns that we deserve these seats, because we become just as complicit in the problem as the people who now currently hold the seats. Yeah. But what we should be doing is doing everything in our space to educate ourselves on what the future looks like, the current, the now, and then what the future will hold. And what we do is we jump in these seats, we fight our way to get in the seat, and then we have literally no earthly education or understanding on what these seats require us to know and understand. And then we flop, and then the community is looking at us going, we should have left such and such in that seat. You see it all the time.
You ain't never lied.
You see it all the time. And I call it the empty memes and the empty posts. You're posting about leadership. You're talking about leadership. And then when you see a problem in the community and then you post about it, you look and you go, that's not even how that problem gets solved. That's not a state rep situation. That's a city council person's situation. And all they need to do is be contacted so that they can contact the correct people within city government. But if you take the time to learn, you won't be making posts about, see, that's why you need to get rid of such and such. That person is all the way in DC. That person don't even oversee that problem. But we have to do a better job of educating ourselves. And I think that that's also an issue, that we don't understand the process.
Ooh, Jerry, that was good. And I agree with you that we don't understand the process. And I do agree that we have an ability to kind of gather the troops and rally the troops and kind of storm and take over. But then half the time we don't even know what we're taking over or why we're taking it over. So I definitely think it is important. And I'm speaking to our generation, because me and you are in the same generation.
Yes.
If we want those people, those Moseses, to really prepare Aaron, I think we also have to put ourselves in a position to be willing to be mentored and prepared. So we're not just storming the building, taking over. And like you said, we might not have the character or the understanding to sustain it.
There's one councilman, and I'm not going to call his name.
Okay, don't call his name.
But there's one councilman in Houston who you can tell that he gravitates to the older generation and just learning from them. He's not trying to run for their positions right away. He's okay. I believe if he had to start off on the school board level, that he would have, and he probably did. I just don't know it, right?
Okay.
But he has disarmed Moses.
Yes.
He's disarmed Moses because he's come to Moses and says, I'm Aaron. I want to disarm you and not have you feel threatened about me.
Yes.
Because I want to learn. We have become so, oh my goodness, we have become so so much like Peter. I don't know if you remember when Jesus was talking about washing Peter's feet, and he said, "Oh no, you can't wash my feet.
Yeah.
You can't wash my feet. If anything, we should be washing your feet," because he was so attached to the position.
Yeah.
Instead of the person who was being in a servant situation. So when he realized he could not, when he realized when Jesus said, "Well, if I can't wash your feet, you can't be with me."
Yes.
And he said, "Well, if that's the case, you need to wash my whole body," because he realized what it was called for.
Yeah.
That when you have a person in those positions, especially millennials, right?
Yes.
And we're taking the time to serve, and we're taking the time to be humble to say we don't know it all, but we want to learn it. We want to learn as much as we can from the people who at the moment may know more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
We disarm them in a way that allows them to make room for us. So that we can learn from them. And trust me, the clock works regardless, right? Time will come where they will, my wife hates when I say this, when they will catch their cloud and you will be able to replace them and serve in a way where you'll be able to fill in the gap and move the agenda forward. But if you sit there and you spend your whole time wanting to fight with them to get in the position, but you're not learning while you're trying to get in the position, when you get there, it will be a show. And I don't mean that in a positive way.
Oh, that's powerful. So I think about the fact that we just had a major leader, not just in Houston, but I would say he's a world leader, pass away. And are truly my condolences to his family. But
Absolutely.
I think about how he positioned his next. And I look at the pictures of how that man served him to the day he died, and how he has such a meek spirit. And how he served them, and he loved. It's a genuine love. When you look at the way those two interacted, man, his next was honored to be next, but he wasn't looking to be next. So he honored him, and that's why he got the position he was in, and has the position.
Did you see the pictures with the hugs?
Man,
you can't fake that. I'm sorry. You can try all day long to you can't fake those those embraces.
He
right?
Really loved that. He loved him. And if I didn't, man, that's real love.
Yes.
That was like Elisha and Elijah. That was a love that took the mantle. That's real love.
And look at how much room has been made for both of them.
Yes. Yes.
One was able to be honored the way he should have been honored going out.
Yes.
And the other is embraced to lead into the future.
Yes.
But that's how it's done. But you have to take self out of it.
Yes.
And
so how do you do it, Jerry? How do you take self out of it?
By realizing it's a book that one of my the books that I try to read this book as often as I can. And it's called Purpose Driven Life.
Yes, Rick Warren.
And the first sentence in it is one of the sentences that I just, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's not about you. And
tell us that. Can we say it again?
It's not about you.
Because I feel like we live in such a space. I want to be clear, because people, even with personal branding, the way someone amplifies themselves is not really about them.
Come on.
It's uplifting them to help them be able to uplift the people behind them.
Exactly.
You're the conduit. You're not, it does not, if it begins and ends with Allison, I've done something wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that book, the first thing it says is it's not about you. And I find it to be the most relaxing. It's all I literally get a sense of peace and calmness just by knowing that I don't have to worry about it, because it's not about me. It's not about me. And my family life is constantly teaching me that it's not about me. It's about the whole. It's about the greater. And I'll share this with you.
Okay.
I when I was younger, I used to always love getting in pictures for ribbon cuttings and the groundbreakings. I used to love it. Like, sign me up. I had my bow ties ready. I was dressed to impress, and I just was ready to go.
Yeah.
And through the years now, I am the last person to want to get in a picture. I absolutely have a disdain for it. I just do not like taking pictures anymore. I don't like getting on, you know, getting in the front with the big scissors and doing. That's just not my thing anymore. What gets me is whenever I go into a grocery store and a little kid looks over at their mom and dad and asks, "Can they get something?" And mm, they have the disposable income to pay for it.
Mm.
It does something to me. And
Mm.
my wife calls me the big crybaby.
Yeah.
Because it's a place of gratefulness to know that you're sitting up there. You know, you got some folks who say, you know, I don't want this project in my backyard. I don't. Somebody did not know how they were going to pay their bills, how they were going to figure life out, and a project, a distribution center, a warehouse, a small business opened up in a community and put hung a sign up that said now hiring. And that person who was trying to figure out how to stop robbing Peter to pay Paul saw that, applied for it, got the job, and is now able to say, well, I can stop keeping the child outside in the car. They can come inside because now what they ask for, I can afford to buy it. Or
Mm.
I can stop feeling that guilt of walking in the store with them and saying, no, you can't have that, or stop asking for what you want.
Yeah.
That's not a case, you know, for that family anymore. And I think that as economic developers, I think many of us are starting to get to a point, hopefully most of us are getting to a point where we recognize it's not about us. It
Right.
is truly about the people that you serve in communities all across this world, and that you're trying to connect people to resources to start businesses, and that you're trying to connect people to businesses so that they can have the disposable income to take care of their families.
Jerry, as a
Yes.
single mom, why are you about to make me go here? But I'm gonna go here. I have been a single mom for 17 years, for as long as my daughter's been alive. And I don't think, probably around maybe fifth grade, I finally hit my stride financially where she really didn't have to want for anything. But most people don't understand that a lot of the resources we get, like as a single parent, the Medicare, the Medi-Cal, the food stamps, the low income housing, those really should be stepping stones to help you propel to that next level
Yes.
and not leave you there, right? Not leave you there. But I think also I agree with you. It really just goes with the mindset of realizing that there's more beyond what you know, and why it's important to have these resources, but don't stay on them, but empower yourself to go further. And I just feel like, as a single mother, that was something I had to show my child, and not just my child, her friends, because
Yep.
a lot of the times she was fortunate enough to have stuff that they weren't. A two-parent household might not necessarily have, or be access to certain things that other people might not be able to have. But it wasn't to make her selfish. It was to help her understand the privilege that she has, but then also help her understand that that's a key. And what is she going to do with it to unlock the door for somebody else?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It all ties in together. Um, and when you were saying that, I literally was thinking about um, just where the last 5 years
Yeah.
has been, even in my life, to see that I've gone from being in Louisiana, going through COVID,
Yep.
and just thinking, literally one day, my mind said, you know what? I think I might accept a job outside of Louisiana.
Yeah.
I think I might I just taking on those opportunities,
Yeah.
and putting myself in a space where it could align with the opportunity.
Mm.
And when I every time I've come to Houston, um, there's a part of Houston downtown when you're on I-10
Mm-hmm.
and you're coming, and it's almost as if you could merge onto 59 from that I-10, and it kind of the road dips down and the skyline is like right there in front of you.
Okay.
And every time I pass by there, the thing that I say the most is that this is the city of opportunity. This is the
So
city of opportunity.
much.
And you can either want it and get it, or you could miss it. And it's not said in a way that doesn't express or recognize others' challenges, right? Because there's challenges for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
There are hurdles and things that can get in a person's way that could block them from having the same opportunities as others.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also provisions.
Yep.
And just to share this with you, and I know this is probably way off, but um, last week I'm learning, even as a servant leader, how to express my gratefulness in the most compromised situations. Right?
Mm.
Spoke about my car and how to not go without. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So last week, I was coming off of I-10 and pulled off onto Greenhouse, and my car cut off. Like, we done, it's over. Find your way home type of off. Like, it cut off, right? It stopped working. And I went to cut it back on, and it would not cut back on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it finally cut on enough for me to get home, and it was a low engine power. I never saw that sign ever before in my life. But when I got home, the entire time I was driving home, I never once got upset. I didn't get worried about it. I didn't freak out about it. I called my wife and told her, I said, I'm gonna make it home. Don't worry about it. I'll see you when I get there. And I was calm about it. Did not, when I tell you, wasn't freaked out about it at all, right? But one of the things that I realized was about a year ago, I prayed about the opportunity to be able to reach out and have a brotherhood that I could reach out to and connect with whenever I needed help with things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 or 3 weeks ago in men's Bible study at my church, we all got on a text message link, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I got home, I sat there for a second and I didn't freak out. I says, let me text my men's Bible study group and find out if somebody knows how to fix this car.
Mm-hmm.
Very calm about it. My wife looked at me and she said, are you okay? What do we need to do? Blah, blah, blah. I says, it's okay. I says, I'm not worrying about nothing. I said, this is light work here. I said, this is just a simple test. I said, just a simple test. I said, I'm laughing more than anything. It'll work itself out.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, it worked itself out. And instead of working itself out to a point where I had to pay like $2,000 to fix it. It only cost $700. And the provisions were there because of the simple fact, one, I had reached out to a network of people to solve or to address an issue. And a friend of mine, he's passed and gone, but he says your network is your net worth. And that's true. Yep. Because think about had I not made the connections to build with other people, how it probably would have costed me a crazy or ridiculous amount of money to fix that car. I probably would have freaked out and would have gone through all that. But this is a place of opportunity. And you're going to either rise to the occasion to take the opportunity, or you're not going to meet it. And it's so much in front of you. When I tell you, I was telling a friend of mine, I can't imagine another area, another region to live in this moment than the Houston region. there's so much opportunity to see growth and to see people scaling up, and to see networking and bridges being built. And I'm not just talking about the actual literal bridges, but I'm even talking about metaphorical bridges.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's just
you're
because
in my
Houston stay building bridges. We stay having to
metaphorically, right? We stay
right.
building bridges in two forms.
Right.
That's pretty funny, but that's powerful, Jerry. So as we wrap up They Say, I just really want to thank you, because when I think of servant leadership, like, you embody it. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank God for you. And I just want to continue to just speak blessings over you and your family. And as you continue to elevate and rise, may everyone see you and your good name, because you truly have a good name. So I just want that to be something that is seen, because I already know and I see it, but I just need everyone else to see it, because there's not many people of the same caliber. And you are a man of integrity and great character. So I definitely want to let you know that.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yes. My pleasure and my honor. So as we wrap up They Say, I always end with, what's your They Say? So what's that thing that someone either told you couldn't overcome, or that thing you might have told yourself, but you did it?
Oh wow. Whew. Oh goodness. Wow. You stumped me on this one, Allison. I can't believe that.
I thought I told you when we met, but maybe I messed up.
Oh, they say. Oh my goodness, they've said a lot.
You defied all of it, but yeah.
I will tell you this. There was a position that I took, and I had some of my colleagues call me, and they said, if you take this job, you are done. Like, it's over with you. It's a wrap. There's no way in the world you're going to come out of it with another job or grow from it. And I took that opportunity. I see everything as an opportunity.
Yes.
And I took it. I worked my hardest at it. And ended up, because of that opportunity, ended up becoming 40 under 40 for International Economic Development Council. So
forget what they say.
They said it.
Award-winning Jerry Jones, 40 under 40. Oh, let him know, Jerry.
I'm past 40 now. Now I got more work to do.
Yes. I love that. I love that, how they said that, but you were able to transition and make it even greater. So that is awesome. That is what They Say represents. Again, like I said, thank you so much for your time, your influence, your servitude. We have learned so much about servant leadership and just leading from a millennial standpoint, and in the importance of us leading, but not overtaking, but being willing to lead and learn. So thank you for giving us this time. And we thank you for being on They Say, Jerry.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And guys, that concludes this episode of They Say. I will be back next Wednesday with another dynamic guest. It only gets better from here. We're going to keep going up. Bye.